welcome back to Top 10 for Part 2. For Part 2, I'm going to be saying my favorite powers from books, and that's just like, you know, any kind of mystical ability. Look forward to that. Let's get started.
Number 10.
Now number 10 is number 10 only because it probably doesn't really count as a power, but that is the ability to use Pokemon from the Pokemon manga that I bought all 40 volumes of from Singapore, and that is by Hidenori Kusaka and Satoshi Yamamoto. I can't speak Japanese though, so don't quote me on that. Pokemon are technically not powers. They have powers, but it's just so cool, the idea of having like a partner with you who can like shoot fire and protect you from all evil. It totally would not work in the real world, but like, the Pokemon world is the coolest place that every kid wants to live in, so just let me have this. Number 9 is the Paper God's Powers from Ink by Amanda Sun. So in that series there are people who can draw things in ink on paper and then they come to life. And what I really like about this power is it's a curse as well as a blessing. If they draw something to life, they kind of have no control over it anymore, so it can just do whatever. And the thing I actually really remember enjoying about this power is the fact that it's really grounded in science somehow. So like, if you look at the thing that they created with ink for too long, your head starts to hurt because your head cannot fathom that this is happening, that sort of thing. So it's just a really cool little addition, and she like makes it all work together, and it's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
It's pretty good.
Number 8 is the main character's power from Gifts by Ursula Le Guin. If I recall correctly, he has kind of the power to destroy things. So when he's really young, his dad blindfolds him, and he spends years after that without the ability to see anything because he's afraid that if he sees something, his powers will destroy it. Which is just really, really cool, and all these crazy stuff happens to him and he can't see what's going on, and really sad things happen. And it's just really, really cool, the whole balance between good and evil, and are powers worth it if they're gonna like kill everyone, and there's a lot of really good morality happening in that book, and I read it in like a day, just solid. It was really good. Number 7 is whatever the heck Percy does with water in Percy Jackson. I've only read the first book of this series, but it was really, really good. I have no idea why I'm not picking up the second one yet. But Percy just seems to be doing whatever with water right now, and everything he does is really cool. It's just like suddenly he can breathe underwater, and suddenly he can like manipulate things. It's just really, really cool to have power over water. I mean, breathing underwater is one of those powers that everybody kind of wants, right? Just like you can go down there and hang out with some fish. Fish are really cool. You can't drown, that's a plus. Takes away some of the fear of drinking water while you're laying on your back.
Hello darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again.
But anyway, his powers are really, really cool, and I'm sure there's going to be lots more people with cool powers in this book because they're all demigods. So I'm going to read the rest of that series and find out how it works, but for now, Percy and his powers. Cool. Number 6. Lucas! Sorry, I was busy being a weeaboo. Number 6 is the telepathy from Matilda by Roald Dahl. If you grew up in like the late 90s, early 2000s, and you remember Matilda. Only 90s kids remember! But no, seriously though, that's the power that everybody wanted when they were little. Because this is a kid who has been defied by the world around her, told she can't, there are tons of adults telling her who she is, and she just totally takes them all down with her cool telepathy powers that she gets through the love of knowledge and reading. Like, okay, everybody at some point in their life has tried to be like Matilda and move things through telepathy. And whether you experience this story through the movie or the book, it's equally amazing, and just, wow, what a power. Everybody wants that Matilda thing that she does. Number 5 is the powers of all the children from Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. When I first read this book, I remember just thinking, wow, that those powers are all really amazing, because they're all just so unique. Like, when you think about superpowers, you don't think the guy who is full of bees, or the person who's invisible all the time and can't ever become visible. And I remember thinking the thing that was really unique about their powers is that they can't really be turned off. It's just like their peculiarities about them that happen all the time. Like, I really love how Olive, she'd just keep floating and they had to put like weights in her shoes and stuff. These are things that they have like no control over, but they learn to live with, which is like a really neat twist on the whole powers thing, and it's really, really great. And of course, who doesn't love that one kid who's invisible all the time and just like walks around naked because he can? Everybody would do that, you know you would. Number 4 is, I guess, Dream Thievery from The Raven Cycle by Maggie Stiefvater. It was such a cool power. Oh my gosh. Like, I'm not gonna spoil who it is because it doesn't say so in the first book, but one of the boys can fall asleep and then take things from his dream. Like, when he's asleep, he'll see something, he'll like feel it, and when he wakes up that thing is there. And that's like the power to create things, but there's limitations on it. And every good power has to have a limitation, which is that he's totally asleep when it happens. He's really vulnerable. It's not exactly like he can walk into a battle and just be like, hold on, just let me take a quick nap and I've got this. And it's just so cool. That whole series is all about like magic and things going on and weird occurrences, and that is just the perfect power to tie it all together. It just gives it that like really dreamy feel, and it's just amazing. I love that. And this power, as all good powers again, is both a blessing and a curse, and the character who has it really struggles with it for a lot of different reasons, and just ties together really well with the rest of the series. One of my favorite series. Number 3 is a series that has lots of good powers, which is the Skinjacker trilogy by Neil Shusterman, but I'm going to talk specifically about skinjacking, which is just the coolest power ever. So in Everlost, these characters, Allie and Nick, die in the first chapter, and they're thrust into this really crazy world of kids who are ghosts, not really, they're afterlights. So there's all these kids who kind of live in the place between our world and the next world, and they have their crazy system going on of like government and little tribes and everything. And within this world there are people who have the ability to leap into the bodies of living people, and then they're kind of manipulating them. Like, they can hear their thoughts and they can hear the other person's brain doing battle with theirs as they like manipulate them to do specific things. And this is a power that's really prominent in that world because it's a power to touch the living world, which is something that none of the other people can do anymore except for these skinjackers, which is why the skinjackers are such a major part of this series. And this power can be used for total good or total evil. Like, there are some people who will use this power to kill living people, and there are some people who use this power to bring ice cream to the children of Everlost. Like, it's just such a diverse power and it's so good. And this is an Everlost spoiler, so you might want to skip ahead a bit here, but it needs to be talked about. The fact that the twist about this power is that these are people who aren't actually dead, they're just people who are in comas, and they can return to their own body by skinjacking it. It's just so cool. And like, that you find out that twist about Allie, who's one of your main characters, and that she could actually get back to her world, just adds a whole other dimension to the story. It's just so good. And I also love the fact that once skinjackers are back in their own bodies again, you don't know what happens after that. It never actually explicitly says, like, do they keep their memories of Everlost, or do they just go back to being regular people? And that whole world is just so open to further thought. I just love it. I love it so much. It's such a good series. Number 2, once again, I'm a weeaboo, is Alchemy from Fullmetal Alchemist by Hiromu Arakawa. I think it's how you say her name. But of course, alchemy is just like the coolest power ever. There are a lot of anime and even like regular cartoons and things where characters have the power to like manipulate things or shoot matter from their hands. But the thing about alchemy from Fullmetal Alchemist is that they integrate it with like regular good science. Like, the author did so much research for this. But there's the law of conservation of mass in chemistry where nothing can be created or destroyed, and that's alchemy as well. They can't like just make bolts of lightning out of nowhere. They've got to manipulate something else. So like, if they want to make a giant fist to punch the enemy, they have to like shape the ground into a fist and like stretch the ground out to punch the enemy. It's just such a cool, unique way of fighting. Like, it's really hard to think of unique powers, and this is just so unique. I've never seen it done before. And alchemy is just like a huge metaphor kind of for the situation in the story, and it just ties in really well with the themes of everything, and that whole thing is just so tightly interwoven together, and it's just beautiful. It's so beautiful. I love it. I love Fullmetal Alchemist. I love that there are different kinds of alchemy based on the kind of science that you kind of throw yourself into. Like, Roy Mustang's able to snap his fingers and make fire because it's like an ignition and everything, and it's all very scientific even though it's like a supernatural power. And it's just so cool. The idea that anybody can do alchemy just by being smart enough at chemistry almost made me want to do my homework in grade 12 chemistry. Almost. And number 1, you probably saw coming from a mile away, and that is every kind of magic from Harry Potter. Harry Potter is that story that everybody loves, and nobody would love it if it wasn't for the magic. The magic is what makes it so cool. And not just the actual, like, power that is the magic, but the whole world that's built around the fact that they can use magic, and, like, the school and the places and the people who are shaped by the fact that they've had magic their whole lives, and the people who are just learning magic now that they're 11. And it's so beautiful, it's so good. And magic can be used for anything. You can use it to stir your tea, you can use it to enchant an object to make it do stuff for you, you can use it to talk to your friends long distance, and you can use it to, like, physically kill people. But another really cool thing about magic is that it's all about your brains. Like, it doesn't matter how strong you are or how you're built. If you're smart enough to know how to use magic properly, you're smart enough to take on, like, bad guys and down them. It's just so cool. It's like a power that anybody feels they can have. When you're a little kid playing imagination games, you can use magic to overcome the Dark Lord Voldemort's daughter. I mean, haha, who would think of something that stupid? And then when you're an adult, you can still daydream about using magic and overcoming anybody, even if you're totally out of shape and you haven't, like, exercised in 4 years. Not like me, I mean, I exercise. But yeah, and there's, like, the whole culture of the magical world versus the muggle world. It's just really well done, it's really deep, and it's not complicated, but it's super detailed, and I love it. I love Harry Potter. I love Harry Potter. So that has been my list of the top 10 powers in fiction, and also you got to see how I'm ultra powerful. I don't know how to end videos, so here's a video of my cat. Whoa, her fur is so HD on this thing. Oh, I messed it up.